Hey lovies, this is Love from Level Up Consulting Firm, and today we're going to be discussing how to strengthen your shortcomings. So all of us have areas that are not really our strong suits. So let me just tell you about a few of my strong suits. I am very organized, I am a visionary, very creative, and something that's not my strong suit is graphic design. Video editing, that's just not my thing. Photography, like completely different lane. So those are things that I actually pay people for. But sometimes you're not able to pay for those services, or sometimes we're just not willing, depending on what kind of event it is. It may not be major enough for us to spend a certain amount of money, right? And so the important thing is that you recognize where you lack or where you're not as strong, and that you start to work on those areas. So I'm going to also recognize another weakness of mine: relationship building. And so I wanted to read this quote by Maya Angelou, but before I get into it, when I say relationship building is not really my strong suit, I struggled for a long time with the idea of networking, because I'm like, well, I'm an introvert. I really don't like talking to people anyway. And I just didn't really see the importance in it. I'm like, okay, well, if we need to speak, we will. If we need to cross paths, we will. And life just doesn't work like that. You meet some amazing people when you're not even meaning to. So prime example, today I was in my neighborhood sitting at sort of like a gazebo, and I was just getting some fresh air and journaling and taking a few photos for my pages, right? Just to have some content. And I saw these two women walking together, and they actually had just got done working out. And so I started asking them a few questions about business, and asking them, if there's anything about their particular businesses that they wish they had more knowledge on. And I was explaining to them that I had a YouTube channel. Now, this is very important because I initially was not going to speak with them. And from that conversation, I even got more ideas about this project that I'm working on for class. And we also followed each other on Instagram. They followed my YouTube channel, and it was a very enriching conversation discussing some challenges of HBCUs. So it was amazing. So you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone so you can have some of those magical moments. But I'll get back into the video. So my great hope is to laugh as much as I cry, to get my work done and try to love somebody, and have the courage to accept the love in return. Now, a lot of people have an issue with that, being able to accept love in return. You can do things for other people, you can give, but there's something in you that does not like accepting things. And I'm going to tell you what's wrong with that. So first of all, the way the universe, God, the planet works, if you are giving, you're also opening yourself up to receive, right? And when you're not able to receive even those things that you didn't necessarily ask for, when the things that you do ask for come, are you going to be willing to accept those, right? Because these things come in different kinds of packages. And so you have to really ask yourself, like, okay, well, if an opportunity came that I wanted, would I be willing to accept that? You may say yes, but if you're not already in the mindset, if you haven't cultivated that mindset of abundance and that mindset of this is something that I deserve, that may become a problem for you, okay? So keep that in mind. Be willing to hear feedback. Now, one of the things I had to tell myself when my family was talking about my attitude, I've had boyfriends in the past say, oh, well, you act like you don't care. You seem very nonchalant. And it wasn't that. Like, I do genuinely care, and I care a lot. So I come across oftentimes as if I really don't care because, my feelings are involved. These are people that I really care about, my family, significant other. So sometimes it may come across that way, but it's actually a defense mechanism. And so instead of me explaining that to them, I'm like, well, it's not that I don't care. So tell me how I can express that I do care, right? Because they don't really have to know everything, but they do need to know how you're willing to improve on those things that bother them or that make your relationship difficult, right? So be willing to accept that feedback. And you know what? I didn't even use the word accept. I said be willing to hear. Be willing to hear feedback, because not everything that you hear about yourself is going to be true, right? And so if it's something that you continuously hear from different people who don't know each other, met you at different points in your life, then you can be like, let me take this into consideration, right? And so that's what you're able to do when you hear the feedback. You can take it into consideration, but that doesn't mean everything that everyone says about you is going to be applicable, because sometimes it's just not. Next, it is uncomfortable to strengthen your shortcomings. Now, again, networking was not my strong suit. I was even talking myself out of it while I was at the gazebo, like literally in my head, don't talk to them. You know, they don't want to talk to you. Wait until they approach you. And it's like, why all the contemplation? Like, you want to build relationships. You want to be social, so do it. And I pushed past that, and I'm so glad I did. Like, literally, I don't even know how long we were standing out there having a discussion, but it was wonderful. It felt really good outside. I learned a lot. I hope that they learned some things from me. And I was able to, give my pitch about my business and tell them what Level Up Consulting Firm is all about. And that's what life is all about. Those moments that you create for yourself. Those moments where you put yourself in a position where you're uncomfortable and you push yourself further outside of your comfort zone. And I promise you, that's going to be an asset to you, because in business, that's all you do is continue to push your limits. Next, there are benefits of change. So increased self-esteem, increased productivity. It empowers you, right? And so your parents, this is another thing that I wrote down. When I think about self-discipline, I think about my parents, right? So your parents discipline you, and they have these regulations put in place so that you can learn how to regulate yourself, right? And then as you get older, you start to say, oh, okay, well, I can just set my alarm. And then as you get more comfortable in yourself and in your routine, you won't even need an alarm, right? Like, I know I wake up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, sometimes earlier, and I don't need an alarm. My body wakes me up. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And I already have in my head what my agenda is. The first thing I do is hit the gram and I start posting. And I also listen to my motivational speeches. Les Brown is my favorite, right? And I get my mind right. I get myself prepared. I get myself in business mode. And I submerge myself into my craft, because this is what I love. This is what I want to do. So I'm putting my energy into it. I'm putting my efforts into it. I'm making sure that I'm recording every day, producing content every day, writing every single day, no excuses, right? And so one of my shortcomings used to be that I was inconsistent. And I was inconsistent because I was in school. I didn't know how to balance it out. And so that's another thing I was discussing with these wonderful young women earlier, was that it gets difficult, as a college student. And I cannot say that I haven't put my business on the back burner. But me now, even this semester, I'm like, there's a way where I can be productive in my business and also be productive academically and have a little bit of a social life. But it's about juggling these things, right? And setting time aside. We make time for things that are important to us, so there's no excuse. You can strengthen your shortcomings. If you know that there's something that you're not strong in, strengthen it. If you say, I have a great product but I have an issue with marketing, watch some videos on marketing. Get a coach for marketing, right? Do whatever you can to make yourself stronger in that area, because it's possible. Anything that you've done up until this point, you've had to learn. So it's the same thing with areas that you're not strong in. And it's okay to admit that. One of the biggest things that you can do to not contribute to your success is not being able to admit that there is an issue or a problem that needs to be resolved, or not be able to admit that a way that you're doing something is no longer working for you, right? When we discuss energy, we always talk about letting go of those things that no longer serve us. So these behaviors, these things, they're no longer serving you. And I want you to do something different and strengthen your shortcomings. Okay? Write them down, create a plan. And as usual, if you need my services, my information will be down in the description box. Level up. Bye.